So, Mr. Obasi is still the husband of Judy. Away. I want to make una watch this video because it's long. Watch.
Is now, we're understanding that Judy is in a proper big mess because only Mr. Obasi can save Judy. Only if Mr. Obasi comes out and says, yes, I took back the bride price on XYZ day. And I took it in accordance with this. We have no objection. We're satisfied. She's no longer our wife. She stopped being our wife that day. But from what Mr. Obasi is saying, Judy is implying that Judy remains his wife.
What we do?
And we know that Yul is not Judy's husband. So, when Yul came out and made that statement that it is immoral, sin, and against it's abomination to sleep with somebody's wife, it was the spirit, the gods of his Inteje that were pushing him to go and say that. It's more or less a confession. Yeah. That thing you said was a confession. Yeah. It was really his confession. Something troubles him. He can't sleep at night. The gods of his village are coming after him for messing with somebody's wife, Obasi's wife. So, Yul and Judy are experiencing extraordinary uncertainty as to the status of their marriage. From a statutory point of view, from legal point of view, we know that what happened between them is not a marriage because you cannot marry yet. You cannot get marry Judy yet. You must dissolve his first marriage before he can enter into a second marriage. So this idea of polygamy for you was nonsense, and we continue to comment and shake our heads that supposedly an educated man does not know or did not know that once married under the act, you can't have a second wife. It is still, when I wake up and think about it, I shake my head. I'm not shaking my head just because of you. I'm shaking my head because of the level of ignorance in Nigeria. A lot of people who went to university, who are holding their degree, are as illiterate as anything you can imagine. The position is very clear. If you choose to marry under the act, you cannot talk of your right under the custom to marry a second wife. That is asinine. That is idiotic, really. And everybody, we will expect children in high school, in elementary school to know that. But somebody will go to university, graduate, start making movies and all these things, and still didn't know that. And we read comments from many people. Oh, there's nothing wrong about having a second wife. No, nothing wrong about having a second wife. It is our custom. When I read it, I know I'm reading from idiots. Because it's very clear. You chose statutory marriage. So, but in the case of customary marriage, where you have the option of dissolving it by returning the bride price, don't follow that option. Rather, use the other option. Go to the customary court, file your petition, state your reasons for the dissolution, and the court's clerk or the administrative arm of the court will prepare a summons. And the summons is a notice inviting your husband to come and answer to these allegations. And they will attach the allegations. So which is a second element of due process. The first is notice. The second is information. That is, they must tell you why the allegations made against you. The third is an opportunity for you to controvert the allegations against you. The fourth is a fair hearing for the judges to be unbiased and fair. If you get your divorce through the court, there is no confusion. People will know the date the divorce occurred. People will know the terms upon which the divorce occurred. People will know the reason the divorce occurred. People will have an idea of what should happen to the children. They will know where the children should be. They know what how the other parent will have an access to the children, and how the other parent will be contributing to the welfare of the children. That is the certainty and clarity the court will give you. Any court will give you. Customary court will give you. But if you do it the way Judy did it, you are in trouble. Because Judy said bride price was returned. Obasi, her husband, says nothing was returned. He disputes it. And now, how do you return the bride price? It's very important. You must call the kinsman. They must know you are coming. You don't return it by Western Union. You don't return it by any other way. It's either the court told you how to return it, or you are returning it in a way agreed by the older parties.
My God, what we do?
In Obasi's case, Obasi says, Judy says, Obasi refused to take back his bride price, and they threw it at him. Who are the guys that did the throwing? You don't return the bride price by throwing bride money at anybody. That's not how it's done. So if you throw the thing at him and he refuses to pick it up or accept it, you haven't returned it. And then how much do you return of the bride price? Let me give you an example. Let's say somebody married and paid 50-something, 1,002 kobo, 1,020 kobo, or 2 kobo, when there was kobo. Now, if you are returning the bride price, what are you returning? If you return 6,000, that's more than what they paid. Is that adequate return? Is that proper return? You're supposed to return exactly what was paid. If you pay less or more, have you returned it? 2, who does the returning? Okay, now let me tell you another case that will help you understand it. There was one case, a lady in America wanted to return the bride price through her brothers or family, her father. And the family asked her, what did your husband do? What is your reason for divorcing him? She didn't give them any reason. The family was not satisfied. The family said, we will not be part of the return of the bride price, please, until you tell us what your husband did. So the lady decided to return the money by Western Union. She returned the bride price. All she did was to send money, quite a chunk of money, to a cousin of her husband. And the cousin took the money. Was that return of bride price? The money was sent to cousin? Of course not. The family did not meet. They did not agree to take back the bride price. They did not anticipate. And the bride price did not come from the family of the girl. So, returning the bride price requires you follow particular procedure that is not going to be disputed by anybody. If it is disputed, there's a problem. So, if you returned bride price to Obasi by meeting Obasi alone without his kinsman, and you gave him the money, even if you give him the exact money and he accepted it, it may not be return of bride price. He didn't come alone to pay bride price. He came with his family members. So you don't return bride price to him alone. And where did he pay the bride price? He came to your village and paid the bride price. And he went to his village. Now you're going to Onisha, where he lives alone to repay. That's not it. And this idea of we told the man to come and take his bride price. No. So, and remember that if you are dissolving your marriage by repayment of bride price, if there's any problem with that repayment process, that means that the dissolution did not occur. It's very, very tricky and delicate for you to say, okay, I'm ending this marriage by returning bride price. There are so many intricate rules and procedures that could render the exercise a futility. So you got to make sure you follow it to the letter. Indeed, the critical test of return of bride price is that both sides agree and there is no dispute. If there's no dispute, the woman says, I return the bride price, and the man says, yes, she returned the bride price. Then everybody will say that it was. But if the woman says, I return the bride price, and the man says, no, it is difficult to prove otherwise. And this is the predicament of Judy. And if the bride price paid by Obasi was not returned in accordance with the customs and rules and confirmed by Obasi and his family, then it was not returned. And if it was not returned, then Obasi is still Judy's husband. And if Obasi is still Judy's husband, anybody marrying Judy is marrying somebody's wife. And according to custom and their belief system, some terrible thing will happen to the man. So that's one thing. That's one part of it. But there's another part of it. And the second part of the first part is Judy still married to Mr. Obasi or not? It depends on whether everybody agreed that bride price was returned. Apparently, Mr. Obasi says no. And Mr. Obasi is still trying to request a DNA test for the children Judy had recently. I don't know how he's going to do that, but it's out there. That's one thing. That deals with the issue of whether there was a divorce between Obasi and Judy. Now, let's go to the second question. The second question is, was there a marriage between... Was there a marriage between you and Judy? We already told you that there could not be. There could not be. Because you cannot have a second wife. We will explain that. But let us assume that you did not have that obstacle. Let us assume that you was a bachelor, single man. Has he done something which would have amounted to marriage of Judy? In other words, did he pay bride price? Okay. Bride price is not paid by one person. Bride price payment is an undertaking involving two families and their proper representatives. If you go and borrow your friends to accompany you to the house of a woman and you pay the money and call it bride price, it's not bride price. You just dash the money. It's not bride price. For it to be the bride price, you'll be represented by your own family. The man's family, the man's father, or representative of the man's father will be the one actually to hand out the money. Chief Peter Edochie had said he did not know that Yul was getting married to Judy. Peter Edochie did not know what Yul was doing. Peter Edochie was not part of any bride price payment. Peter Edochie never went to the house of Judy's father to speak the way we do it customary for his son to marry his daughter. So, any money you paid for Judy cannot be called bride price. It would be bride price in accordance with human custom if you went there alone, or if you went there with the wrong people. The wrong people would be people other than his father or representative of his father, his elders. Even if Peter Edochie did not go, he must send somebody. If he could not go, he must send somebody. He could call his first son and say, okay, please represent me. Follow your brother, you. Go to that woman's house. Tell them you represent me. I can't make it because I have arthritis or some problem. I can't make it, but you are representing me. Go there and pay the bride price. Let's pay the bride price. But that did not happen. You just came, made one uniform with Judy, and they dressed up and went to the family of Judy. When people saw them passing, they thought they were acting movie. They didn't know it was her marriage they were coming for. So you went there, I don't know. Maybe he dashed them money. It's common, it's normal. To visit your girlfriend's parents and give them money, it's okay. It's okay. So he went there and gave them money. Nobody knows how much he gave them. Nobody. But one thing you can't do is you can't call it bride price. So when you say that you paid bride price for Judy, we ask you, by what custom? Tell me the custom. What Igbo custom allows a man to stroll to his parent, to his girlfriend's house, and give money to her parents and call it bride price? For it to be bride price, you will be led by your own kinsman, who will have the authority of your father. So it is clear now. That's the second part of it. That's the second part of it. That's the second part of it, which is, has you paid bride price for Judy? No. I don't think so. I don't think so. That is, if you follow the custom. Now, if you're an Igbo person and you're listening to me, I will ask you one question and be honest about it. Does a man alone, does a man go alone to pay bride price? Doesn't he go with his family, his kinsmen, particularly his father? So, anything you do, any payment you pay alone cannot be called bride price. And now, you already heard Pete Edochie. He said he heard about the marriage on social media. So, Pete did not follow you to pay bride price. Pete did not authorize anybody to represent him at an event where bride price was paid. So when you hear, when you call Judy his wife, you have to be a troublemaker, really. You have to be a troublemaker, because if you are not a troublemaker, we ask you, what made Judy Yul's wife? What made Judy Yul's wife? Tell me. Bride price was not paid? And that is if indeed Judy had divorced Mr. Obasi, because it's possible Mr. Obasi is still her husband. So you gotta understand what is going on. There is a reason you involve kinsmen in bride price, but there's a reason you have to bring them together. Because if you leave just the parents alone and the other, people could get greedy, they can take money twice from. But when you involve the whole kinsmen, somebody's going to say, no, we can't take bride price twice because we still haven't repaid the other bride price. If you had called the kinsmen of Judy, maybe somebody would have said, no, what about Mr. Obasi? But you went to see the parents of Judy alone. Judy called her friends, and you'll call his friends, and they went there. Whatever they did, they cannot be called marriage or bride price payments at all. There was no proper, adequate representation in accordance with the Igbo customs. Because those of you who want to talk about Igbo custom, you don't even seem to understand Igbo custom. If you understood Igbo custom, how can you marry without his father knowing? Is it done that way in Igbo land? I ask you now, you champion of Igbo custom, is it how it is done in Igbo land? You marry without your father knowing? You went there alone? And you call it marriage in accordance with Igbo custom? Okay, now, there is another problem. Another problem you have to understand. And what's this problem? This is a bigger problem than you realize. When you met Judy, Yul was married. Yul was married. You knew that. Judy knew that. Judy was also married. You knew that. Both of them consciously decided to cheat on their spouses. You decided to cheat on his wife. Judy decided to cheat on her husband. Both of them. Now, there is something you have to know about human nature. Do you think that Judy was the only woman Yul would have cheated with? Do you think that Judy would be the only woman Yul was messing around with? Once Yul decided to violate his marital vow, we assume there must be other women he was sleeping with. Likewise, do you think that Yul was the only man Judy was sleeping with? Once Judy decided to mess around with her poor Mr. Obasi, she would have been sampling every opportunity. Now tell me, why would you be faithful to Judy when he was not faithful to me, his wife? Why would Judy be faithful to you while she was not faithful to Mr. Obasi? Therefore, you may think that we are dealing with three people. You, Obasi, and Judy. In the normal understanding of human nature, we are potentially dealing with a lot of people. You have other women, would have had other women. Judy would have had other men. And given this atmosphere of uncertainty and widespread infidelity and promiscuity, who is the father of Judy's child? Who is the biological father of Judy's child? Is there any reason? Do you have any compelling reason why you say it must be you? Can you swear it has to be you? Could it not have been any of the other men Judy must have been messing around with? And how do we know? Since Yul has been having extramarital, how do we know he did not get other women pregnant? And maybe those ones just decided not to come public? How do we know that? You see, pray that you don't have trouble. Be careful how you live your life and pray that you don't get into trouble. If you get into trouble, smart people know how to deal with it. So don't be naive. By logic, just logically calculating it, there is no basis to swear that it was you that got Judy pregnant. Now, the only thing we can know for sure, because it's been admitted, is that they both had sex. They've been having sex together. That's we know. The consequence, who got Judy pregnant, we don't know that. It is possible that Judy was shaking the calabash, trying many men. And when she got pregnant, she looked at all of them and asked, which of them would I like to point at? She decided to point at Odogu. In fact, she might have done it deliberately, but also maybe she's not sure which of the men got her pregnant. It happens. A woman is dating multiple men at the same time and gets pregnant, and she's not really sure which one is responsible. She miscalculates. Maybe she thought you did it. So that is why, as this case goes on, as the controversy goes on, it's important for you to be sure he is the father of these kids. There are ways it will come up. Let me explain to you ways it will come up. May doesn't care anymore. She doesn't care. She's decided. She's moving forward. But if we come to child support analysis, that's when it will come up. when they ask you, why can't you pay for the upkeep of May's children? Yul is going to say, I've got other children to take care of. I've got more children. And the law is supposed to consider all the children together. But they have to be all your children. So when he tries to say that he's got other children, 2 children from you, somebody is going to say to him, no, we are not sure that these children are your children. Do you get it? Do you get it? We are not sure that Judy's children are your children. He said, but they look like me. No, the law doesn't consider looking at you. We need scientific proof. And not because, you see, if he was married to Judy, then there's what we call presumption of paternity. The law presumes that any child born belongs to the husband of the child's mother, if the mother was married at the time. Since Yul is not married to Judy, we cannot accord him the presumption of law. That presumption of paternity is not available to him. He was Judy's boyfriend. And a boyfriend is not presumed to be the father. He has to be positively proven to be the father. So that is how we come to the issue of that. We're just, at this moment, we're dealing with biological paternity. We're dealing with biological paternity, which is, was it Yul's sperm that fertilized the egg? Or could it have been some other random sperm from any other random lover she had at the time? Of course, Judy will say, oh, I'm an honest woman. I stick to one man at a time. I never cheated on you. We ask her, why should we believe you never cheated on you when you cheated on Mr. Obasi? If you could cheat on Mr. Obasi, what will stop you from cheating on you? She's going to run into trouble there. So there is no basis to make any assumptions. We need proof. Okay. Imagine when we try to go for DNA. Somebody who is trying to go for paternity test to prove that you is the biological father. What if Mr. Obasi shows up at that moment and says, no, it's not necessary. She was my wife and I'm presumed to be the father of the children of my wife. Because that presumption of paternity will apply in favor of Mr. Obasi if indeed Judy is still Mr. Obasi's wife. So in that case, Mr. Obasi will say, I don't care. I don't give a damn whether you sperm did it or not. She was my wife. So you was just a donor. And let's thank him for donating his sperm. So, do you see now how complicated the situation is? So, please, for our members, and this is the reason why I had to give you this talk. If you are in a customary marriage and you want to dissolve your marriage, go through the customary court. The court will dissolve the marriage. The court will order for bride price to be refunded to the court registry. And the court will state the amount that will be paid. And that money will be paid to the court registry. Then, from that moment they gave that judgment, you are divorced. Nobody can presume anything anymore. If after that divorce, by the way, 12 months after divorce, or rather 10 months or 9 months after divorce, you are pregnant. If you give birth 9 months after divorce, the child is not presumed to be your husband's child. So do it that way. Don't try to do, because as it, that is it. It's a very convoluted process. The case is just about to begin. The controversy is just about to begin. DPA knew this upfront. 2 years ago when this came up, I recall that we made a statement and I said, this is a big bomb. that I hope, I said, I hoped you will realize he'd walked into a volcano and he will retrace his step. And an army of his fellow idiots began to attack us and say, I have right to marry second wife, Igbo custom, what? Do you even understand what it means, Igbo custom? If you want to go for Igbo custom, follow Igbo custom to the end. And Igbo custom will tell you how to return bride price. Igbo custom will tell you how to pay bride price. Igbo custom will tell you not to mess with someone's wife. Do you understand? Do you understand? So let us learn from the experience of others. I really hope that there will be closure, a smooth closure for them. But I don't see an easy closure for you and Judy. There is no going to be an easy closure for them. This is something very deep, very problem, that even when nobody says anything, Yul comes out and starts vomiting things that implicate him. He came out and talked about his intention to marry 50 times. Nobody told him to say that, but that was something against him. He hurt himself. Now he came out and said it is abomination to sleep with somebody's wife. We were very happy to hear that from him. It's confession, self-confession, pushed by the gods of his people to start confessing. You know, as he goes, he keeps talking and confessing and putting himself in trouble. So, learn from this, ladies and gentlemen, BPA members. Don't just return bride price. Divorce properly. We live in a modern world. We live in a world of evidence, a world of documentation, where people want proof. Okay? I don't want you to say, oh, what's your witness that you're divorced? You say, my uncle, my this is in the village. How am I going to see your uncle? I don't care about your uncle. Your uncle could lie. We need a document. And Judy should probably, at this moment, Judy should go and file a petition in the customary court to properly divorce Mr. Obasi. At least, you know, to end that thing with Mr. Obasi. So Mr. Obasi can show now that he's divorced. But as it is now, Mr. Obasi will continue to claim he's the husband of Judy, and you can't shut him down. You can't say he's talking nonsense. He's got his point. Okay?
So if you look at the way you came out to preach that preaching, it was a very big red flag. You can attest that something was wrong. Don't go for people's husband. Stay people's wife. Don't go to people's wife. Stay away from people's wife. If not, it's a complete distraction. It's a complete distraction. Oh! Mr. Obasi, bride price, you've had it. The only person that can save Judy Austin is Mr. Obasi. And you know that Mr. Obasi will not do that. Do you know what you and Judy Austin did to Mr. Obasi? Using influence to press Mr. Obasi down. Using your influence, people you know in the society, because Mr. Obasi is poor. No, the man is not even poor. The man is not up. He's not famous. That's just it. He's living well. He's not hungry. He doesn't come to beg people for food. So it is clear now that Mr. Obasi is still traditionally married to Judy. Because each time Mr. Obasi tries to make attempt, the family of Judy Austin and the brother, they go and give Mr. Obasi woto. Then they give him woto. So now, who will save you? Judy Austin. Which means you are still married to Mr. Obasi. Mr. Obasi is still saying that. You heard it from the legal team. That Mr. Obasi is still saying, you are his wife. That's a big problem. This life, be careful what you do to others. Be careful what you do to your fellow human being, because they must come back. You see, you heard what the legal team said. The part that is making me super happy is that he said, May does not care how you and you are living your life. Doesn't concern May. But what about Mr. Obasi? Now, if Yul says he has other kids to take care of, the legal team will tell him it's a lie. He has to be taking care of his legitimate children. The only way you can prove that those children are his is with DNA. And if Mr. Obasi comes to counter it that he hasn't received back his bride price, and you say, ah, no, we went there, we throw it at him. And Mr. Obasi can easily say the money was not complete. That is not how to return my bride price, and you have to pay me. Those children still are my kids under tradition. There's nothing you can do about it. Way. May Edochie God and Mr. Obasi God will continue to disgrace Judy Austin. That is for sure. I will leave it here. You heard from the legal team, not me. Like and share this video if you enjoy it. Share. It's very important you share this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Patience Blogs Official on YouTube. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in my next one. Bye, people.